Okay, our study this morning is going to be on signs of covetousness. The signs how to know that you are covetous or your inclination is covetousness. Also, we are going to learn about the directions against it, or against covetousness, love of riches, and against worldly cares. You know, covetousness is a son of pride. Covetousness is a son of pride. Pride is the father of covetousness, as we are going to see. And as we have learned always, we know pride, the origin of pride is self. When self comes in the throne, as we see what happened with Satan, Satan removed God in his throne, and self came in his place. And where self is, it is as a result of pride. Pride or self is the root of all sins, and pride is the father. So here we have pride, which is origin of self. We have also covetousness or covetousness. We have also envy, anger. All these are fruit of self. And self is the root of all sins. And since Satan was the first to fall, and he made our first parent, that is our father Adam, also to fall. Adam rebelled against God, and he followed his self. Self became or become in his throne, just as the same way it happened to Satan. So here, these four, we have always said, they are the sons of the devil. That is pride, covetousness, envy, and anger. And we have looked at pride, and today we want to see signs that promotes covetousness. Signs that promote covetousness, because this is a fruit of the devil or Lucifer. It never originated with Christ. Covetousness originated with the dark side of God, or in the dark world. That's why Satan is a prince of this world. And this world is controlled by pride, covetousness, and envy, plus anger. So we are going to see some of the things that truly promote, or which we need to know as Christian in order to avoid covetousness. We are going to see the signs of what promotes covetousness, or things that we are supposed to check out in order not to be covetous. So here, our verse is Luke 12:15. Luke 12:15. Luke 12:15. What does it say?
Inasema,
soma.
Akawaambia, angalieni, jirindeni na choyo, maana uzima wa mtu haumo katika wingi wa vitu vyake alivyo navyo.
Yes, that is our Lord who said in Luke 12:15 Take heed and beware of covetousness. For a man's life consisteth not in the abundance of things which he possesseth. That is, that a man's life consists not in the thing that he possesses. So here Christ is telling us that we should not be covetous. If we are the children of God, our life, our eternal life, is not going to depend upon things that we are going to acquire in this world through covetousness. So let us beware of covetousness. Another verse I would like us to read is Habakkuk 2:9. Habakkuk 2:9. What does it say? In English it says, "Woe to him that coveteth an evil covetousness to his house, that he may set his nest on high, that he may be delivered from the power of evil." I repeat, woe to him that coveteth an evil covetousness to his house. So you can covet in the right way. That's when you are coveting to know the righteousness of God through our Lord Jesus Christ. But there is what we call an evil covetousness. An evil covetousness is when you are coveting things for your house in the wrong way. You want to provide for your house, but you don't go in the right way. You might use dark method or corruption. All these are not the best way. Those we call evil covetousness. You want to provide for your children, but you don't use the right method. You use shortcuts, corruption, and many other things you all know that can lead us to evil covetousness. There's also another verse I would like us to see. That is Jeremiah 22:17. What does it say? You see here, Jeremiah is telling the Israelites they had fallen from God to a point that he is telling them, "But thine eyes and thine heart are not but for thy covetousness, and for to shed innocent blood, and for oppression, and for violence to do it." You know, they had reached a point where their eyes, their desire was nothing else. It is for oppression. They were thinking only for themselves. That's why Jeremiah is telling them that way. So here, we can also see it in Proverbs 28:16. What does it say? "The prince that wanted understanding is also a great oppressor, but he that hateth covetousness shall prolong his days." You see, covetousness, just as pride, God hated. Kiswahili 28:16.
28:16 nasema, "Mkuu aliyepungukiwa na akili huwaonea watu sana, bali achukiaye kutamani ataongeza siku zake." Achukiaye kutamani ataongeza siku zake. So here I want us to see that covetousness is a sin. God hates covetousness, and covetousness is a fruit of the Lucifer. It is not in the kingdom, it's not supposed to be in the kingdom of God or the kingdom of our Lord Christ. It is a fruit of darkness. The people of this world, they use it and they love it because they are driven by covetousness. Tamaa ndio wanga inasukuma, ama ndio msukumo ya watu wengi. Many in this world are driven by covetousness. Covetousness of gain, and in order to be rich in this world. So we want to see signs which can help us to know whether we are covetous or going in the wrong direction. Those are the things I want us to see. So here, in the first point, that which you need to know is understand well the nature and malignity of this sin. Understand well the nature and malignity of this sin, both what it is and why it is so great and perilous. You know, people don't understand the nature of this sin. As I told you, man, when he fell, or anybody who come in this world, the thing that men do not understand is that this world is a world of darkness. Why? Because we fell from God and we came into the world of darkness. And this world of darkness is driven by pride and covetousness and envy. That's why you see every person who is born in this world, the first thing that he is taught in school is how to be covetous. Tama, what do you want to be? That's what we tell our children. We even promote it in school. We promote this covetousness even in schools because we think that it is a good virtue. But little do we understand that in the kingdom of God is evil and is a sin. So unless we understand well this sin, we shall all perish. So here, we are going to see what love of riches is lawful. Because first of all, before we condemn anything, it is better to understand riches. How lawful is riches? There's nothing wrong with being rich. First, we must understand that. And also, we must understand what it is that is unlawful. What it is that is unlawful. And in what this sin of covetousness or worldliness does consist. All these things we must know. Wherein also the malignity or greatness of it lies. The signs of it, all those things we need to know. What counterfeit of the contrary virtue to hide this sin from the eyes of worldlings. We shall see even the counterfeit. How people counterfeit this sin. In the eyes of worldlings, why people don't understand it in the eyes of this world. And even what false appearance of it do cause many to be suspected of covetousness and justly. All these things, we need to understand them. So here, let us first see our first point. What love of riches is what love of riches is lawful? One, all love of the creature, the world, or riches is not sin. Let us first understand that. That all love of the creature, the world, or riches is not sin. Because all what we covet, all what man is after in this world, they are all just inanimate creatures. And there's no sin in them. There's no sin in them. One, the work of God are all good as such. And all goodness is amiable. There is nothing wrong in anything that God has created. All what we have in this world are the wonders of who? Of God. And God had wanted all these wonders to be known by man. Because by man, God is revealing himself to man in order for him to understand God. So everything in this world by itself is good. You see now? 1, 2, all the impressions of the attribute of God appear on his work. Do make them as glass, in which at this distance we must see the Creator. These things that we all see in this world, they are like glass, a glass, where all the attributes of God are known. We cannot know God without all these things. Nothing came or come by itself. There must be a source or a fountain. And the fountain is God himself. So, that means all these things, they were all made to lead us up to God and help our minds to converse with him and kindle the love of God in our breast as a love token from our dearest friend. So all these things, they were all made to lead us to God. So by themselves, they are good. They are good. Hakuna kitu kibaya. Thirdly, they are naturally the means of sustaining our bodies and preserving life and health and alacrity. You see, nobody can survive in this world, whether a Christian or a wicked person, without all what we have in this world. A Christian needs clothing as well as the wicked. A Christian needs food as well as the wicked. A Christian needs technology as well as the wicked. Sasawa. So all these things, they are means of sustaining our bodies. Nobody who does not need them. Kwa hivyo by themselves, they are good. They are good. Hakuna kitu tunaweza kusema ati ni kibaya. Because sometimes when you preach the gospel, sometimes those who don't understand it, they see as if the Christians sometimes they are accusing God. No, we should understand things in the right way. Sasa, these things in themselves are good. So what makes them not good and what makes them evil? It is ourself. It is ourself who make them evil. The way we use them or the way we take them. That's where the problem comes in. So, creatures are necessary means to support our bodies while we are doing when we are doing God the service which we owe him in this world. We can never do service to God without these creatures. They are part of us and they are very necessary. The creatures are necessary to sustain us also. We can never do without them. So they are good. Riches may enable us to relieve our needy brethren and to promote good work for church or state. So if you become riches, you are also very important as far as the church is concerned. So you can promote your brethren. So there's nothing wrong with riches. You can also promote the state. So all these things, we need to understand them, that riches has in itself is not evil. It is good. So what makes them evil? It is this. 1, sinful love of riches, sinful love of riches, that is, when riches are loved and desired and sought more for the flesh than for God or our salvation. You see why riches are not good, or when riches becomes evil. God has given you riches. You are desiring riches. You are coveting to be rich, to be rich. But how does these riches become sinful? One, tumeona, is when riches are loved and desired and sought more for the flesh than for God or our salvation. Many will seek for riches, not that they want to have riches in order to know God. They want to have riches in order to pamper their flesh. All what their desire is, all what they are coveting is to be rich in this world. And these riches, instead of promoting man to know God or promoting our salvation, it is going to promote to you pride. You are going to be more proud. And when you are going to promote pride, that means you are against God, because God hates pride. You become rich, but instead of being obedient to God or doing the will of God or promoting your salvation, you go against your salvation, because that riches is going to promote pride. Sasawa. Two, when we therefore desire them in that proportion which we think most agreeable to this carnal end, and are not contented with our daily bread. So riches, I repeat, they are evil when we desire them in that proportion which we think most agreeable to these carnal ends. They are evil. That you want to be rich, or you are coveting to be rich, only to promote your carnal ends. God does not come anywhere in your life. In fact, you just want to promote things of this life. That's when riches becomes evil. Because to you, it is leading you to death. Your riches is unto death, but you don't know, because you're not promoting your salvation. That's why we say riches or covetousness or evil covetousness is evil, is death, because it only promotes your carnal ends. It is the end by which a sinful love of riches is principally to be discerned. You see, covetousness is the end by which a sinful love of riches is principally to be discerned. A sinful love of riches. So when we say a sinful love of riches, is when your covetousness is directed only to have that riches in order to help yourself in this world. Nothing else. Nothing else. So, worldliness is either predominant and so a certain sign of death, or else mortified and in a subdued degree consistent with some saving grace. You see now, worldliness. So when your covetousness is to seek your carnal ends, that means it is going to promote to you worldliness. Worldliness is going to be predominant in you. When we say worldliness is going to be predominant, we mean that you are going to be more a man of this world, having the comfort of this world, and feeling at home. And unless you get these worldly riches, you are never happy. You are never contented. You can never be contented with a little. You want more and more. Sasawa. So worldliness is predominant, as in the ungodly, is when men that have not a lively belief of the everlasting happiness. When worldliness is predominant is when men never think of everlasting happiness, meaning they are stuck in this world happiness. And when it comes to the everlasting happiness, to them, that one is out of them. They don't want it. They don't care about it. They don't care about it. They don't think about it anymore. That means all these are a result of evil covetousness. Uko na tamaa, lakini hii tamaa yako inakuelekea ama inakuelekeza njia mbaya ambaye it will lead unto everlasting death or hell. So here, the malignity or greatness of this sin consists in these points. One, the love of the world or of riches is a sin of deliberation and not of mere temerity or sudden passion. Worldly contrive the attaining of their ends. You see here, the malignity, ama shida, ama that which make covetousness, when somebody is admiring this world or is coveting riches of this world, the reason why this sin is so bad is that the love of the world or riches is a sin of deliberation. Utakuja kuona this covetousness, if you don't understand, this sin of desire of worldliness, which is promoted by covetousness, is a sin of deliberation. When we say a sin of deliberation, we mean that you are not forced by anybody. You do it deliberately. You do it deliberately. It is you. And you can never, you feel, even when you are doing it, you feel to be on top of this world because you are getting everything. You are getting everything. So it's a sin of deliberation. You promote it. And even your family, your friends, your neighbors, they are even praising you because you are growing very fast in this worldly business. So it is a sin, a very serious sin, but people don't see it. Because once it gets you, you are going to do it deliberately. Sijui kama tunaelewana pale. Hakuna mtu ambaye anaweza kuambia unafanya nini? Unafanya makosa. Hakuna.
Hata ukikosea kwa sababu uko nayo na hao wengine wanahitaji kutoka kwako, hawaja kuambia kana kwamba unakosea. Wao wataendelea tu
kukupigia makofi.
Uko sawa.
That is it. Tena hata wao the majority wanatamani namna gani? Ukae hivyo. Hata wao wanataka kuwa kama nani? Kama wewe. So it's a sin of deliberation. Yani uweze kujitoa pale. The worldling contrive the attaining of their ends. Kwa hivyo the worldling ndio ina contrive the attaining of that end. Kwa hivyo hata watu wengine watakupromote in business, in whatever. So wewe mwenyewe hautajua, you'll never know that you have covetousness. That covetousness is evil. There's no one time you are going to know. Why? Because one thing, worldliness imekuingia. You are no longer seeking money to promote the kingdom of God. You are no longer seeking money for salvation. Salvation is out of question for you now. All what you do, you want to be like so and so, a businessman somewhere. That is all. Nothing else. Another point, it is a sin of interest. It's a sin of interest, love, and choice, set up against our chiefest interest. It's a sin of choice and interest. After love and choice, kuipenda. Sometimes some of these truths, I don't know whether people will ever know. Because by the time watakuja kujua, it will be too late. Kwa sababu here, man, I don't think a wicked person will ever understand this. This is for the children of God. It is a sin of interest. Every person in this world is in darkness. And he doesn't know covetousness and pride are the fruit of Lucifer. And we are in the dark world. And that's why Christ came to take us out of this world, to save us from ourselves. And self is the mother of all these four. Self is the mother of pride, covetousness, envy, and anger, and also malice. And because we are born in this world, and we have met our parents running here and there with covetousness, even promoting it, we think it is good. That's why even those people who are becoming Christians, the Antichrist. Why? Because the spirit is not the spirit of Christ. It's a spirit of worldly. And that's why you find that some of those people who have known what Antichrist is, they point their finger at one person, at huyo ni Antichrist. But they forget that they are also Antichrist, because they are saying Christ is their Lord, but the spirit which is in them is a spirit of worldliness. And this worldliness, since they have not been born again, or they are in darkness, they don't know it is the love of darkness. They are in darkness. So here, it is a setting up. Look here. This worldliness is the setting up of a false end and seeking that. So kama tunaona pale, you set up a false end because it is false. You love it,
inakudanganya,
unaipenda,
lakini inakusukuma mwisho wake.
It is not the right end. It is a false one, because at the end you remain in darkness. You are going to hell and you don't know. It's a false end. You love it, all your interest is in it, and you have set it because you are after that. So you say it is setting up a false end, and you are seeking that. So kama unaona, and you are seeking that. It's a false end.
Umeiset na unaitarajia,
na hiyo ndio unatafuta, and yet it is false. Nani atatoka pale?
Hakuna.
Nani atatoka pale? Nakwambia, ndio unasikia Kristo anasema wengi watalia, because they don't understand. They are setting a false end, and that's why utakuja kuona hata wale wameweka makanisa, what they are doing, they are setting a false church. Manake they are also after the worldling. Lakini ukiona mtu akiwa na bidii, unafikiria sasa huyu mtu anapenda nani? Anapenda Mungu sana. It is a setting up of the false end and seeking that, and not only a sin of error in a means, or a seeking the right end in a mistaken way. You see now, it is and not only a sin of error in the means. It's not a sin of error in the means, or a seeking the right end in a mistaken way. No, this one, you seek it because you want it. And you apply all your energy unto that. That's what we are saying. The signs of evil covetousness. It is nitama. Yes, it is good. You are seeking riches. Lakini what for? For what end? Do you know which end you are after? Another point is, it is idolatry. Covetousness, idolatry, is idolatry. It is idolatry, or denying God and deposing him in our hearts and setting up his creature in his stead. Yeah?
Unaondoa Mungu mahali anafaa kukaa.
Unaweka creature ambaye ni utajiri, worldliness.
Badala Mungu akuongoze,
awe ndio tamaa yako.
creature sasa amekuwa ndio tamaa yako.
That is it.
Anakuelekeza vile
anataka. Wewe mwenyewe unafuata the creature but not God.
Hiyo nao ni kali.
Hiyo ni kali. That's why it is idolatry. Lakini ukiambia watu katika Christendom today, ukiwaambia that you are worshiping idols, wao wanaamini idols ni zile michongo zilikuwa zinawekwa wapi? Kwa kanisa. But now it is spiritual idols ambaye wewe umeweka the creature to be your desire, to the worldliness. Kwa sababu ni kitu gani ingine? Riches. What are riches? What are riches? Mtu akipata pesa mingi sana, nini atafanya? What is he going to do? Either he add another car, that's a creature. Aongezea nyumba ingine, that's a creature. Anunue kitu ingine, that's a creature. So what is that riches? What riches can do to you? Na utakuja kuona why inasemekana their interest is there and they are seeking it. Ni kwa sababu huyu mtu atapata pesa, ajenge nyumba, one house, he built another. So ukimuuliza what for, in his mind God is not there. In his mind God is not there. He wants more and more to be, to satisfy his own eyes. Self is only his only interest, to have more and more, but not for God's sake. That's why it is an evil covetousness. Ni tamaa ndio, na mali unapata na ni mzuri, mali haina shida, lakini wewe ndio uko na shida. Your principle which is driving you ni gani? So here the worldling give that love and that trust unto the creature, which are due to God alone. The worldling gives that love. Unakuta yule mtu anaongozwa na worldling na mambo hapa duniani, he give that love to the creature. Anapenda the creature. You will find that somebody can waste from Monday 7 days seeking for the creature just for the sake of the worldling and not for God. 1 month the same, 1 year the same, 20 years in this world the same. He wants fame. So the worldling gives that love and that trust and that love and that trust unto the creature, which are due to God alone. Kwa sababu ukipenda Mungu sana, hawezi kuwa wewe kazi yako yote in this world is to seek riches. No. Huwezi kuwa hivyo. That means riches have become your God. God is not in your mind. That's why you don't seek him. Kwa nini watu wameingia katika idolatry ama superstition katika makanisa? Why do we have antichrist churches? Kwa nini watu hawamjui Mungu? Kwa nini watu wanadanganywa na false pastors of prosperity? It is because they love the worldling more than God. Kwa sababu kama wangempenda Mungu kabisa, wangejua, wangetafuta ukweli na wajue the way of salvation. Lakini they don't care. They are ignorant. They are ignorant. He delights in riches instead of God, and seek and hold it. Seek and hold the riches as his felicity instead of God. And therefore, so far as any man loves the world, the love of the Father is not in him. Mtu akipenda dunia, upendo wa Mungu haumo tena. Labda udanganye, lakini hata ukidanganya the word of God, you cannot lie unto God. Hiyo ujue the judge is God but not you. Wewe unaweza danganya, lakini hiyo ni ya Mungu. So here it is also a contempt of heaven. You see now, men, because of riches, because of covetousness, to be rich in this world, that is a contempt of heaven. When it must be neglected and a miserable world preferred. You neglect God and you prefer the miserable world. That is contempt of God. That's a contempt. Manake unapenda the creature more than God. So what will you say at the end of time? If men did practically believe the heavenly glory and the promise thereof, they would be carried above these present things. Kama watu kabisa wangekuwa wanajua the promises of God, kama wangesitafuta na wazione kabisa, hawangekuwa carried away by these present things. Hawangekuwa carried kama watu wangejua ukweli. Na mimi kabisa hiyo naijua. Kama watu wangejua ukweli kabisa, vile ukweli huko na vile Mungu anafanya na vile Mungu anataka, mimi sioni hata hii nyumba ingekuwa imejaa watu. Hata wangekuwa na shida pali ya kukaa. Wangeshindwa pali ya kukaa. Lakini kwa sababu watu wapendi ukweli, that's why they love the creature more than the creator. So here, another point why we should be wary about covetousness is because, or this worldling is because, it is a debasing of the soul of man and using it like the brutes. You see now, while it is principally set upon the serving of the flesh and on a temporal felicity, and neglect its eternal happiness and concernment. What does that mean? It is a debasing of the soul of man. The soul of man was created for heaven. Man was created with the image of God to live with God. But when man prefers worldly riches or the worldlings, is debasing. He is debasing what? The soul of man. And using it like that of the beast. That's the word of God. Anaitumia kama nini? Kama mnyama? Kama mnyama. Why? The beast is a temporal beast. He is of this world. He did nothing else just to eat and to die. Si ni kweli? Naye binadamu naye anafika pale. He doesn't even understand. He is so precious. One day he is going to leave this body and is going either in heaven or hell. Sasa ana neglect his soul. Anaishi kama nini? Kama mnyama. Because mnyama, what man doesn't know, that an animal is created for this world only. And when it dies, that's the end of an animal soul. Hiyo ndio tofauti binadamu hajui. Lakini yeye ako na nini? Two places to go. Kuna yale anamgojea. Either after this body, heaven or hell. Sasa hapo ndio tunasema ana debase his soul kama ya mnyama, ambaye mnyama haja. Lakini wewe ambaye kabisa unatakiwa ku make a decision in this world, unakuta you don't care, you are ignorant.
Sasa unaona hapo mwalimu, huyu mtu anafika mahali kwa sababu ya hii tamaa yake, baadaye sasa awe na tamaa ya kufikiria ufalme. Hii tamaa inamshusha fikira zake zile ambazo anafaa kufikiria wapi? Kwa ufalme wa Mungu. Inamshusha chini, inamaliza mambo ya Mungu, uungu ndani yake. Sasa anaanza kufanya nini? Kufikiria mambo ya nini?
Ya ulimwengu, ya hapa duniani.
Ndio unaona hapo sasa anakuwa kama nini?
Kama mnyama.
Sasa yeye anafikiria tu niweke hii pale, niweke hii pale. Hiyo hakuna kitu kingine anafikiria.
Na hakuna kitu kingine atatoka naye. Solomon anasema ile kitu binadamu atatoka naye ni nini? Ile ameweka wapi? Ile ameweka kwa tumbo. Kwa hivyo wewe hata mnyama hakuna kitu kingine itatoka naye. Ni ile imeweka fanya nini? Kwa hivyo wewe tofauti yako na mnyama ni nini? Kwa sababu nyinyi wote the only thing that you can ambaye mtatoka naye hapa duniani ni ile mmefanya nini? Hata hii nyingine yote covetous yako mnaweka, kama itakuwa kabisa it is not directed unto the right direction ama the right end, hapo ndio tunasema you are just like an animal. Manake an animal also atakula, atafanya mambo yote na atatoka hii ulimwengu, hatatoka hii ulimwengu, akifa mambo yako imeisha. Sasa wewe tofauti na mnyama ni kuwa wewe ukifa there is the second death ambayo inakugoje.
Kuna mahali nyingine unagojewa.
Kuna mahali nyingine unagojewa because your soul is eternal. So you are ignorant, unakaa kama mnyama, lakini wewe literal hauangalii bali mnyama atakuwa amemaliza kazi yake, manaka he was created for that end na amekamilisha in this temporal world. So here it is a perverting the very drift of man's life as employed in seeking a wrong end, and not only of some one faculty or act. You see now, it is perverting the very drift of man's life as employed in seeking a wrong end. You pervert your faculties. You pervert everything in you by seeking the wrong end. So that's the evil of covetousness. Unakuwa everything in you unaibadilisha to seek the wrong end. It is an habitual sin of the state and course of mind and life. And not only a particular actual sin, it is a cause, it's a habitual sin. Inakuwa a habit. It's not something that ambaye unaweza kuingoa. Wale watu wameingia katika this direction, wale watu wameshikwa na tamaa ya ulimwengu hii, ya kutafuta mali ya hii dunia. Yani, that sin to them, the sin of covetousness is habitual, is a habit. Imekuwa kama habit. So it is a perverting of God creatures to an end and use clean contrary to that which they were made and given for. It is a perverting of God creatures. God never created anything for evil use. God never created these things for worldling. No. So, whenever we are not seeking God, because kuna pale tunaambiwa the best thing that God had given to man, one thing, that which is gold and precious, is time. Time. This one, many will shed tear, ambaye it will be too late. You have had all the time in this world. You never thought that this world was just a temporal. This is just an arena. Paul kuna pali anasema this world is a spectacle. Ni kusema there is God is doing something, but man don't want to understand that God is doing something. The real life is not yet. Hii ni kama drama inafanyika hapa. But man doesn't want to know what type of drama is. Time here, you are given time. Another thing you are given are these creatures, to use them in the time that you are given in this world to promote your salvation. To promote your salvation. But man has opted to use creatures only for his own use. Leave around that. The only thing that man will be very fast and very punctual is when he is using the creature, or he is using the time in order to promote worldliness. That one, he will be very punctual. Which is wrong. Which is a wrong end. Because the time here, you are given. Use the creature, yes, God has given you. But let this creature, let this time, using the creature, promote your salvation. Lakini binadamu anakuwa the opposite. That's why we are saying it is a perverting of God's creature to an end and use clean contrary to that which they were made and given for. We use the creature, time, clean contrary to what they were given for. And abusing God by his own gifts, by which he should be served and honored. You come to, we abuse God even by his own gift, by which he should be honored. Manake time tunatumia vile tunataka. Wengine hata unakuta hata hiyo time unakuta wengine wanaenda kucheza dice. Wengine ni karata. Wengine ni kulala. Wengine ni kwenda tu yani in the center kukaa tu ati they are pushing time. They don't care about time. Wengine they think yani yeye kazi yake ni kuangalia masaa ya lunch, anaenda na kula lunch. Akikula lunch tena anakaa, anaangalia masaa ya nini? Ya supper, anakula supper. But nothing in between. Yule amejaribu sana na yeye atatumia time yake yote to be very busy. In order bado tufanya nini? To promote worldliness. Bado hata yeye amefanya nini? Amepotea. Bado hata amepotea. Yule ambaye amekaa hakuna kitu anafanya. Huyo in this world tunasema is an idle man. Na tunasema tu hakuna kitu anaweza fanya. Ni kweli. Huyu mwingine naye ambaye amejua kitu ya kufanya ni kutafuta nini? Mali. Ya kupromote nini? Kano interest. Katika macho ya mwili tunasema that is a businessman. He's a hard working man. But when you go spiritually, Mungu anasema is also an idle. An idle man. Bado yeye ni idle kwa sababu gani?
Yeye anafanya
is for the wrong end. Kwa hivyo he is still idle. As far as that good, that great good is concerned, ambaye is the kingdom of God, yeye bado anahesabiwa kuwa an idle man. So destroying is a destroying our soul with those masses. Sikia hapa. It is destroying our soul with those masses which were given us for their help and benefit. You see, Mungu anasema it is you are destroying your soul. And instead of saving your soul, you are destroying your soul with those masses. Because all these creature gifts, all this time that we are given by God, all this food and rain and whatever, they are masses of God. But now we are destroying ourselves through the masses of God. We destroy the same thing that God has given us to save us, for us to help us in our salvation. We are destroying ourselves with the God masses. This is the true character of this hell and sin. Na watu wajui. That's the character of covetousness. Watu wajui inawafanya nini. In a word, it is a forsaking God and turning the heart from him and alienating the life from his service to this present world and the service of the flesh. Naelewana? It is in a word, it is the forsaking of God and turning the heart from him and alienating the life from his service to this present world and the service of the flesh. Forsaking God. Man has forsaken God. Through his mercy, through the gift of God, through covetousness, evil covetousness, tamah, he has forsaken God for his own interest. And he has turned the heart from him. Ni kama mtu akupatie mali, badala hiyo mali kusaidie, inafanya nini? Inakumaliza. So, let us understand these things, because they are very serious for Christians, not for the wicked. The wicked won't care, and they won't even like to hear this. Watafuka nini? Masikio. So here, now, the signs of covetousness are these. The signs of covetousness. 1, not preferring God and our everlasting happiness before the prosperity and pleasure of the flesh, but valuing and loving fleshly prosperity above its worth. Those are the signs. That's the first sign of covetousness. Not preferring God and our everlasting happiness before the prosperity and pleasure of the flesh. That's why I've always told you, if you come across a pastor or a teacher in the church of God teaching prosperity, that man is promoting the kingdom of this world. He is not promoting the kingdom of Christ. Huyo ni mtu hata yeye, he's a confused man. Together with those people ambaye anafundisha unapiga makofi, hata yeye ako katika hiyo kikapu ambaye hajielewi, na hata yeye hajajua dhambi ni nini, na hajui hata prosperity hiyo anaongea juu yake ni nini. So valuing and loving fleshly prosperity above its worth. Another sign is esteeming and loving the creature of God as a provision for the flesh and not to further us in the service of God. Esteeming and loving the creatures of God as a provision for the flesh. Sisi kazi yetu ni kupenda the creature of God just for provision of the flesh. Haja yetu ni kukula, kukaa yani mastarehe na kufurahia, and not to further us in the service of God. Kama wewe hiyo ndio tamaa yako ya kupata mali hapa duniani, ujue that is a sign ambaye, if that is the reason why unataka hii mali, wewe ujue kabisa you are under an evil conscience. Another sign is desiring more than is needful or useful to further us in our duty. Ndio kama tunaelewana pale. Desiring more than is needful or useful to further us in our duty. Wakati unakuta wewe you desire more, unapenda mali nyingi kuliko ile ambaye ina keep you going, hautosheki. God has given you provisions, Mungu amekupatia, lakini wewe bado hautosheki, na unaona kabisa hata time, unaona kabisa hata time hauna, manake you want more and more. Hauwezi kuwa contented. You don't have a contented spirit ya kutosheka. Saa yote unakuwa uko katika mbio, yaani ukitafuta, hata ukifika wapi bado unataka, you want more and more. Those are the signs of evil covetousness. An inordinate eagerness in our desires after other things. Ni kusema an inordinate eagerness. Ni kusema wewe unataka hii, you want this, you want that, you want everything. Na hata ukipatiwa everything bado utafanya nini? Hautatosheka. You want everything. Distrustfulness and carking cares and contrivances for time to come. That's another thing. To be distrustfulness. Ni kusema wewe, even when God has given you, hata wakati Mungu anakuambia sufficiency unto you is what God has given you in that day, lakini wewe you still distrust the same God ambaye anasema angalia hata nini, ndege wa angani wanakula na wafanya kazi. So wewe unakuta all the time you are distrust, you don't trust God. You don't trust God at one time. Unakuta inafika pahali wewe always you feel that you want to do something as if God has forgotten you. Hiyo is a sign of covetousness. Hawezi gojea Mungu at one time. Unataka utumie nguvu yako na your contrivance for time to come. Unataka kupanga. Unataka wewe uone kabisa hata unapanga for the next 3 years in the future vile kutakuwa. Na you are very serious and very busy contriving for that. You don't trust God. Even that future ujui kama utafika. Na hiyo umeanza kuipanga na hata ikupatia usingizi. That is a spirit of covetousness. And it is evil. Ni kwa sababu gani? Ni kwa sababu you don't even trust God. Yani kuna watu kabisa hawalali usingizi wakati huu. Not because they don't have. In fact hata kama ungekuwa nazo kama zile wako nazo, ungelala tu unagojea. Lakini wako na nyingi sana, but unakuta huyo mtu amejiweka mzigo kubwa sana ya kesho, ya pesa mingi sana. Unakuta ako na pesa nalipa huku, ingine nalipa huku, ingine nalipa huku, mpaka unakuta depression inamuingia. Hiyo ndio tunaambiwa love, yani inordinate, yani eagerness in our desire after other things, distrustful and carking cares and contrivances for time to come. Another point is discontent and trouble and repining at a poor condition when we have no more than our daily bread. Wakati unakuta kabisa Mungu ametupatia our daily bread which we pray for. Mkristo anasema namna gani? Give us our daily bread. Unakuta kabisa when we have that, because God always will give us, unakuta you are discontented. Unakuta bado you are discontented. Hautosheki. Hautulii. You are still in trouble. And you are repining at the poor condition. Unalia. Watu wengine wakilia. And that's why I've always told you, a Christian should not cry when other people are crying. You are a child of God. Na Mungu anajua shida zako. So, all these things are things that we need to be very careful, because we repine against God, and yet God take care of us. Another point is, when our speech is freer and sweeter about prosperity in the world than about the concernment of God and our soul. Wakati wewe utakuta that wewe unasikianga ukifurahi sana wakati unaongea juu ya business. Wakati unasikia your spirit is freer and happy. when you are discussing business, ama wakati you are venturing into business and not concernment of God and our soul, wewe ujue you have an evil concern, again covetousness. Uko na tamaa. Those are the sign of that covetousness which is not good. Because unafurahia sana that false end kuliko that true end. That true end must be your concernment more. Hakuna pahali, as we started, we said, hakuna kitu kibaya with riches. Na hakuna kitu kibaya kuitafuta mali. But let your concernment, after all doing what you are doing, the concernment about your salvation should be the utmost. Sasawa? So here, let us see the counterfeit of liberality or freedom from covetousness, which deceive the worldling, are such as these. You know, the worldling, when we say worldling here, or the counterfeit of liberality, many think that if they give, if they seek money and give to the church, then they cover then they are not covetous. Kwa sababu wao wanatafuta na wanafanya nini? Wanapatiana. So let us see some of these counterfeit ambayo udanganya watu that they are not covetous and yet they are covetous. He thinks he is not covetous because he has a necessity of doing what he does do for more. You see now? He thinks he is not covetous because he has a necessity of doing what he do for more. Yani wewe uko na necessity. You see, you feel now this is not covetousness because umefika pali unaona I must do this. So when you do it, you think because it is a necessity, that is not covetousness. Sasa hapo unajidanganya. Hii lazima ningefanya nini? Ningeifanya. Is a necessity. You must know that there is no one time in this world, if you are driven by worldliness, that when money is being filled in your pocket, you will have more and more necessities. Kwa hivyo kuna wakati zitafanya nini? Itaisha. Wakati money inaongezeka, necessities zitafanya nini? Zinaongezeka. Kwa hivyo usije ukasema, mtu asije akasema ati mimi najua mimi sio covetous, niliona hapa ni lazima ningefanya hivi because ya hivi na vile. Hapana. So the poor think that none are worldlings and covetous but the rich. The poor wanafikiri wale watu wako na tamaa are the rich, si ndio? But he may love riches that want them as much as he that has them. He is poor, yes, lakini hata anafanya nini? Anapenda pesa. He is covetous. Sasa wao wanafikiria those who have money, those who are poor, they think watu wako na tamaa nyingi sana. Hata wanaongeaga hivyo, the riches. Lakini hata yeye bado wako na nini? Baka yeye hata yako na tamaa. Ni vile hana. Kwa hivyo the moment yatapata, hata yeye necessities zitafanya nini? Zitaongezeka. Zitapanda. Naona mtu akipata pesa, hata saa zingine sikiongezeka unaanza kusikia hata mimi waka nataka hii. Si ndio? That is natural. So, covetousness usijudge by necessity ya tuseme, at sasa kwa sababu inaitaka you are not covetous. Jiulize kwa nini hii kitu necessity hii imetoka wapi? Ni nini imefanya utake hiyo saa hiyo umepata pesa? Na utaona kabisa ni kwa sababu umepata pesa. Na je ukipata ingine necessity sana zifanya nini? Sikiongezeka. That's why hata yule mtu ako na nyumba hapa na pale ako na hizo zote ni kwa sababu alikuwa na nini? Na pesa, na hiyo nyumba ikawa necessity, hata hiyo ingine is a necessity. Hata gari sita kwa compound ukimuuliza atakwambia hii moja ni ya kwenda choo, hii ingine ni ya kwenda sijui wapi, hii ingine yote atakwambia there is a necessity. Kwa hivyo necessity, it is not, usidanganye mtu because have this because of necessity ya hii na hii. Ujue that is covetousness. Tamaa. Those are the signs of covetousness. So impatience and your want shew a love of the world and flesh, as much as other men's bravery and possession, yani possess it. Kwa hivyo impatience under your wants. Wakati unakuta wewe you are not patient, wakati hauna, unalalamika kila saa. Hii kulalamika na hata kudharau wengine, maana kuna wengine hata kwa sababu yeye hana saa yote ananugunika, pointing his finger kwa wale watu wako nazo. Anaona kama wao ndio wamekataa afanye nini? Asipate. Hiyo bado is a sign of evil covetousness. Uko na tamaa kama wao, na kwa sababu huwezi fikia vile wako, sasa ile kitu utakufanya it is to be impatient, na hata kuwa sasa hata unataka hata kuwa, kama ungeweza hiyo mali yote ungeichukua, ni kwa sababu unaona kana kwamba wao ndio wamekunyang'anya. And that's the society we are in. Another thing, he is not a worldling, because if he could but have necessaries, even food and raiment and convenience for himself and family, he would be content. And it is not riches or great matter that he desireth. Mwingine anafikiria he is not worldling ama covetous, anasema kama ningepata pesa tu, mali ya kulisha hawa watoto wangu, na wavae na wakule vizuri, mimi hii mambo mengi ningefanya nini? Ningewachana naye. Sasa hivyo ndio anamaanisha. Sasa anafikiria kwa sababu yeye anaongea hivyo, he is not covetous, lakini he is. But if your heart are more set upon the getting of these necessary or little things than upon the preparing for death and making sure of the heavenly treasure, you are miserable worldling still. Kama wewe itakuwa unasema ati kama Mungu angenipatia nilisha hawa watoto wangu wakule vizuri, wasome, sasa mimi kama ningepata hiyo, mimi singekuwa na haja nini ya pesa. Kama your spirit, kama your understanding and your end ni kulisha hii watoto tu peke yao uone wamekula, then you are still covetous and wandering still, worldling still. Why? Because you are not after the right end. So watoto wako kikula, sasa wewe umefika, wakivaa vizuri umefika. So ukiwa hapo ndio mwisho yako.
Ni kumaanisha ya kwamba haujui ni kwa nini uko katika hii dunia.
Yes, haujui, ni kumaanisha haujui kama wewe
kuna kusudi ambayo Mungu amekuweka katika hii dunia ufanye nini? Utekeleze.
That is it.
Wewe ukisema unalisha watoto wako washibe nini?
Bas
haujui maana.
Haujui maana, na hujui that wewe ndio wao watoto utawalisha. But hata ukilisha watoto, the main target is the right end, that is eternal kingdom. Lakini sio kusema sasa mimi Mungu ukinipatia hii, na watu wengi huomba sana, mimi nataka tu unipatie watoto hawa. Ndio. Nani amekwambia? Wengi wanazaa watoto wanalea, lakini wanakuwa wakora. Hata wengine wanakuja kupiga wewe. Nimeona wazee wengi, hata watoto ambao ulikuwa kabisa unatafuta niwapatie, wengine hata kwao hawezi lala. Ni kwa sababu ya watoto. So that is not the right end. Ati utafute pesa ukisema ati ni nani? Ati ni watoto. Ati ukipatia Mungu akikupatia tu ya watoto, wewe uko sawa. Hiyo ni makosa. So the poor man that will set his heart more upon a poor and miserable life than upon heaven is more inexcusable than he that set his heart more upon lordship and honor than upon heaven. Sawa? Kwa hiyo sio kusema ati kwa sababu wewe you are poor, wewe you are not covetous, wewe hata unakuaga huko na tamaa tu kwa sababu ya watoto. Hapana. hiyo haitakutoa kuwa covetous. Wewe ni mtu bado haujui ni kwa nini uko katika hii dunia. So another thing, he is not covetous because he coveteth not anything that is his neighbors. Yeye mwingine nafikiri he is not covetous kwa sababu yeye hata atamani kitu ya neighbor yake. Sasa nafikiri mimi am not covetous. He thinks that covetousness is only a desiring that which is not our own. Watu nafikiri covetous ni kudesire to that which is not our own. Sasa hapo ndio unahesabiwa tamaa. Hapana. No. If you love the world and worldly plenty inordinately and covet more, you are covetous worldlings, though you wish it not from another. Kwa hivyo usiseme ati kwa sababu wewe you don't covet your neighbors or whatever, you are not a covetous person. No. If you love the world and worldly plenty inordinately and covet more, you are covetous worldling. Kama unapenda nini? Ulimwengu. Unaweza kuwa hautamani yani mali ya mtu, hata hutaki kitu ya mtu, lakini wewe mwenyewe kama unapenda ulimwengu sana, inordinate ni kusema hata unakuta kabisa haulali, hata hauna raha. You are always coveting more and more. Yako tu atutumie, lakini si ya mwingine. You are a covetous person. You have got evil covetousness. It is a worldly mind, a love of wealth, that is the sin at the root. Hiyo ndio that. It is a worldly mind. Hiyo iko the mind ya kuwa na vitu zako hizo nataka nyingi za hapa duniani. That's the mind of this world. That's worldly. It is a worldly mind and love of wealth that is the sin at the root. The ways of getting it are about the branches. But the root ni nini? Ni hivyo. Manake wewe unataka kuwa nini? Mind yako is your worldly mind and love of wealth ndio iko at the root. Hata kana kwamba watu waoni wewe unatamani zao, lakini hata wewe mizizi yako iko wapi? Imepandwa pale. Kwa hivyo usidanganye ati wewe ni mzuri ati you are not covetous. No.
Hujapata nafasi.
Ni vile wewe hujapata, hata kana kwamba hutamani ya mwingine, lakini ndani yako you are moved by covetousness and worldly. So another thing is not worldly because he uses no unlawful means, but he labor of his calling to grow rich. Mwingine anafikiri ati yeye is not covetous kwa sababu ya nini? He hatumii unlawful means. He is not corrupt. Yeye anasema unajua mimi kitu ya mtu hapana. Hata corruption siwezi taka. Ni mzuri, yes. It is good if you are not corrupt. Hata ukipatio pesa ya mtu wewe unafanya vizuri, unafanya nini? Unamrudishia. Sasa mtu because he is that way, anafikiri yeye he is not covetous. Lakini the love of wealth for the satisfying of the flesh is unlawful. Lazima tujue hivyo. The love of wealth for the satisfying of flesh is unlawful. Whatever the means be. The love of wealth for satisfying the flesh. Whatever the means. Hata kana kwamba ni kuandikwa, umeandikwa unakaanga pahali kama sijui yani unakaa vibastarehe sana. But if you love wealth of this world only to satisfy your flesh, it is sinful. No matter which means you use to get that wealth. Yeah? No matter what it means. Hata kama ni gani. Kama yako tu ni kufurahia, ufurahie tu mwili. Ununue magari, ujenge manyumba. Unaenda ng'ambo, unaenda kufanya hotel. Yaani ufurahishe hii mwili. Njia zote vile unaweza taka. Ununulie watoto sijui nini. Those are fleshly carnal interests za hii dunia. Hata kana kwamba pesa yako umeipata na njia gani. Hata kana kwamba umeipata umeandikwa kwa kanisa na wewe unasema unafanya kazi ya kanisa sijui wapi. If hiyo mali unapata it is to satisfy your flesh, mwili, mambo ya mwili, it is unlawful, it's a sin. Sawa? So another thing, he is not worldly because he is contented with what he has and coveteth no more. Yes, tumesema you should be contented. Si ni kweli? Na hiyo contented, a Christian should be contented, atosheke. Lakini sasa hapo naye unaweza fikiria sasa, kwa sababu we umetosheka. Kuna watu wanatosheka kwa sababu akiangalia pande hii hakuna njia, akiangalia pande hii nyingine hakuna njia, akiangalia nyuma hakuna njia, mpaka anasema namna gani? Mimi natosheka na ile Mungu afanya nini? He is saying it because of despair, not because ati anataka. So when that which he has is full of provision for his fleshly desire, kama hiyo kidogo ako naye, hiyo anasema ametosheka, he is contented. Hiyo kidogo ako naye, kama yeye hiyo kidogo ako naye, it is to serve his fleshly desire. Manake yeye anatosheka na hiyo kidogo, lakini hiyo kidogo yake yote ni ya kuserve the fleshly desire, because kila mtu ako na kiwango yake na kila mtu anaweza enjoy kulingana na vile amepa. Sio kusema kwa sababu wewe uko na ndogo hauwezi kuwa ati you are working only for your fleshly desire. Hapana, ati wewe kwa sababu yako ni kidogo sasa wewe you are contented, sasa wewe uko sawa. No, even hiyo kidogo lazima utumie kwa njia gani? Kwa njia ya Mungu, to serve God and your salvation. So if you overlove the world and delight more in it than God, you are worldling, though you desire no more. Tunaelewana? Yeah. If you overlove the world and delight more in it than God, you are worldling, though you desire no more. Kwa hivyo hata kana kwamba unasema umetosheleka na wewe raha yako yote ni hapa duniani, hata kana kwamba hutaki zingine, unaambia watu wewe umetosheleka, don't think umeondokea this spirit of covetousness ama worldly. Ni kusema wewe ni vile hauna njia nyingine ya kupata mapato mengine, lakini tamaa zako zote ile kidogo umeipata unatumia na njia nini? Ya mwili. So another thing, he is no worldly because he gives God thanks for what he has and asks it of God in prayer. Yeah? Yeye anafikiri kwa sababu ile kidogo ako naye he thanks God. Kila saa anaambia Mungu asante. Na ingine hata anauliza Mungu in prayer, mpaka anaambia watu ni Mungu amefanya nini? Niliomba Mungu mpaka akafanya nini? Akanipatia. But if you be a lover of the world and make provision for the desire of the flesh, it is but an aggravation of thy sin to desire God, to be a servant to thy fleshly lusts, and to thank him for satisfying thy sinful desire. Hiyo ni kali. Sio kama unasikia? Yeah? Yani wewe you think that you are not awarded because you give thanks to God. Sasa wewe unakuta ile kidogo uko naye saa yote, hata ukikaa, hata ukikula kidogo, unaambia Mungu ni asante. Hata kana kwamba haujakula unaambia Mungu wacha tuombe. And even you give thanks ya ile kidogo uko nayo, unaambia Mungu ni asante. You see now? Lakini kama hiyo uko naye unaitumia kwa tamaa za mwili, hauitumii kulingana na vile Mungu angefanya nini? Angetaka. Sasa hapo unafanya makosa kubwa sana. Ni kwa sababu gani? You are aggravating thy sin. Dhambi yako kwanza you are aggravate. Kwa aggravate ni kufanya nini? Ni kuiongezea? Ni kuimultiply. Kwa sababu gani? It is because you desire God to be a servant to thy fleshly lusts.
In fact, you are inviting God to join you.
You are inviting God to join you. So God is going to be your witness. That wewe kabisa kabisa, even you are thanking him. You know, you are using that thing for fleshly desire, for worldly desire, for carnal interest, and yet you are thanking God. Sasa ni kana kwamba you are inviting God to be a servant to thy fleshly lusts and to thank him. You are even thanking him. And to thank him for satisfying
Your flesh.
thy sinful desire. Hata you thank him. Asante sana Baba. Nimeona mkono yako. All these things, you know these things, truth is bitter. But when people come to know the truth, wataona kabisa hakuna kitu walikuwa najua. Thy prayers and thanks are profane and carnal. Ujue hivyo. If you are giving thanks yani ile Mungu amekupatia unatumia for your fleshly desire na tamaa zako za mwili, ujue thy prayers and thanks are profane and carnal. They were not service to God. Where you are thanking God, they are not service to God, but to thy flesh. Tunaelewana pale? Another thing is not worldling or covetous, because he has some thoughts of heaven and is loath to be damned when he can keep the world no longer, and pray often, and perhaps fast with the Pharisees twice a week, and give alms often, and pray and pay tithes, and wrong no man. Sasa mwingine anafikiria yeye ako sawa sana kwa sababu yeye ako na thoughts of heaven na yeye anaamini anaenda mbinguni na anajua kabisa kabisa atapotea kama hatakaa kama vile Mungu anataka. You see now? So anafikiria kwa sababu yeye anaomba kila wakati na hata na fast twice a week. Sasa na hata anatoa tithes na anapatiana tithes na analipa kila kitu. Sasa yeye anafikiria yako sawa sana. Lakini anasahau hata Wafarisai wakiwa wametoa tithes na kila kitu na wakitoa alms, hata maombi makubwa sana, they were covetous for all this. Walikuwa nini? Covetous for all this. Na ningetaka tusome Luke 16:14. What does it say? Luke 16:14.
Nasema, baadhi Mafarisayo ambao wenyewe ni wapenda fedha waliyasikia hayo yote wakamdhihaki.
Yes. And the Pharisees also, who are covetous, had all these things and they delighted him. So you see, the Pharisees walikuwa wanafanya haya mambo yote. Walikuwa wanatoa tithes, walikuwa wanaenda prayers, wana fast, wanafanya mambo mengi sana ambayo the present Christian does. But hiyo haikuwafanya wasiwe covetous. Our Lord anasema they were covetous. Kwa hivyo tujue hiyo kuomba sana haya mambo yote haifanyi wewe, kwa sababu unafanya haya mambo yote, you are not a worldling ama covetous. Nikimalizia, another thing that he is not covetous because it is but for his children that he provide. Mwingine anafikiri yani he is not covetous kwa sababu yake yote ni anafanyia watoto. Sasa anafikiria, so anaona kana kwamba yeye ako sawa sana. Lakini if you so overvalue the world that you think it the happiness of your children to be rich, nasikia, you are worldling and covetous both for yourself and them. If you so overvalue the world that you think it the happiness of your children to be rich, sasa wewe you overvalue the world. Sasa wacha wewe unafika pahali sasa kazi yako unafikia watoto wako vile watakuwa nini? watatajirika. Sasa wewe unaona dunia, na hata huwezi fikiria vizuri kama watoto wako hawatajadilika. Sasa unataka hata wakati wanakaa unawaambia nataka mtajirike, hata that is your happiness. So you overvalue the world even for your children. In order for your children to be rich, you are a worldling and covetous, both for yourself and your children. You see now, it is for their children that the richest and the greatest make provision, that their prosperity may be great and wealthy after them. Utakuta wengi, it is for their children, wanafanya kazi na bidii sana. Ukiwauliza wanakuambia ni kwa sababu ya nini? Ya watoto. Little do they know that is covetousness and it is evil. Kwa sababu hausaidii watoto wako. Wewe all your lifetime you have been teaching them how to be rich in this world, the prosperity of this world. So you are doing one evil even to your children, to teach them nothing else but covetousness of this world. So another thing, he is no worldling because he can speak as hardly of covetous men as any other. Wengine nafikiri kwa sababu yeye anaweza kuongea juu ya covetous juu ya wengine, yule ako na tamaa, sasa nafikiri yeye he is not covetous. Unajua kuna watu wengine wanajua ku point finger, lakini wao they are more than covetous. And that is many preachers. Wengine, many preachers by their reading and knowledge may make vehement sermon against worldliness, and yet go to hell at the last for being worldlings. Words are cheap. Kusema ni rahisi. Kwa hivyo many preacher wataenda hell na walikuwa wanafundisha even worldlings ama covetousness. Lakini hata wakiwa wamesimama in the pulpit, they are driven by covetousness. Sasa tunasema another thing, he is not covetous because he purposes to leave much to charitable uses when he is dead. Mwingine anasema mimi hata nikiwa na mali mingi namna gani, hii yote nitawachia kanisa, nitawachia charitable, nitaenda nipatie watoto ambaye ni orphans. Sasa kabisa, sasa anafikiria because he is covering himself in that one, sasa anafikiria yeye sio covetous. Sasa anatafuta mali, lakini yeye anataka kusema hii mali yangu mimi always naendaga katika orphan napatia na nini? Chakula. Ama hata nikifa nataka mali yangu yote ipatiwe nini? Watu fulani. Sasa mwingine anafikiri because he will do that, sasa hata akitafuta mali, yeye sio nini? Sio covetous. No. These people, if they would carry their riches with them and enjoy them after death, they would do it no doubt. Ni kweli? Huyu mtu anasema ati amewachia pesa yake watu wa kule kanisa ama whatever. Kama ingekuwa hii pesa alikuwa aende nazo, kusema ukweli, angewacha? Angeenda nazo. Ni vile hana otherwise. Kwa hivyo sasa yeye anawacha tu kwa sababu hana otherwise. Ndio anasema mimi nikifa yangu mpeleka wapi? Mpeleka wapi? Anaandika wale watu watapatiwa. Sasa yeye anafikiri sasa yeye amefanya a good deal kwa sababu yeye yani hana haja nini? Yeye sasa hana haja na pesa. Yeye hata anatafuta pesa lakini yake atafanya nini? Atawacha. So hii tunasema to leave it when you cannot keep it any longer. Unaiwacha kwa sababu huwezi fanya nini? So to leave it when you cannot keep it any longer is not thankworthy to God. Hakuna kitu kwa Mungu, hakuna kitu umefanya nini? Umefanya. It's not thankworthy. Kwa sababu wewe umeiwacha ni kwa sababu hakuna nini? Hakuna jengine. Sasa don't think ni kwa sababu umeachia watu wa kule, sasa wewe unahesabiwa kwa Mungu you are not covetous. No. Umeiwacha ni kwa sababu hakuna jengine unaweza fanya. Sawa? Kwa hivyo Mungu atusaidie. Some of these points I've given so that we may know the signs of covetousness. God willing, next time tutakuja kuona direction against covetousness. Yeah, direction against covetousness. You shall see the direct. How can you fight covetousness as a Christian? Amen.